Nationals starter Stephen Strasburg said he might not participate in future AllStar Games as he believes last season's elbow injury was due to a change in his routine while at the 2017 AllStar Game in Miami. Here's what Strasburg said via Chelsea Janes of The Washington Post. Might have to rethink about if I'm going to actually pitch or not pitch in an AllStar Game, whether I'll actually go altogether. That was the issue I felt like was the reason why I got hurt. I was on such a good program with the training staff and massage therapists, I was in this routine. Then all of a sudden you're asked to throw, potentially pitch, maybe not, but not have any access or ability to really stick to your routine. Once that's over, it's like right back into it. Bullpen, day off, game. I just know that little lapse, for whatever reason, it pushed me back a bit. It started making my arm hurt. My arm felt good before that, then it was like after the AllStar Game, it just didn't feel right. I'm glad at that point, I kind of tried to put my pride aside and say, hey, I want to be there in the end, so we just had to get it right. No point in pushing through it. I'm glad it worked out that way. It's worth noting that the Nationals will host the 2018 AllStar Game. Strasburg, 29, posted a 3.43 ERA in the first half. In his second start of the second half, he lasted only 2 innings and soon went on the disabled list for nearly a month with a nerve impingement in his right elbow. He returned in mid-August and compiled a 0.84 ERA across 8 starts through the rest of the regular season. In the past, some players have turned down invitations to participate in the Home Run Derby, citing various reasons like the event potentially messing up their swings or wanting to avoid risking injury. We usually don't see it for the AllStar Game, but Strasburg may start a new trend. Follow it Bear. Bill MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred appeared on Don Le Batard's ESPN radio show today. The show originates out of Miami, and the Marlins and their recent fire sale were, understandably, the main topic of conversation. Though the topic was predictable, it turned out to be a combative interview, in which Manfred deployed some lawyerly evasion when it appeared he was caught in a lie about his and the league's foreknowledge of the Marlins' plans to slash payroll after being sold to Bruce Sherman and Derek Jeter. And it ended with Manfred, apparently, giving his endorsement to tanking. The interview, video audio of which can be seen below, started out with Le Batard asking Manfred directly if he was aware of Jeter's plan to trade players and slash payroll. Manfred attempted to evade the simple yes or no question, but then said, "We do not approve operating decisions by ownership, new ownership, current owners or not, and as a result the answer to that question is no." He then said, "I'm not going to be deposed like this is some adversary thing. You want to ask me questions, I'm going to answer the way I want to answer them." Le Batard then called Manfred out, incredulous that Manfred was unaware of Jeter's plans to trade players and slash payroll, saying, "We are starting out with a lie, Rob. You can't tell me you're not aware of this." Le Batard pressed him again, saying, "Were you aware of this?" To which Manfred said, "No, we did not have player-specific plans from the Miami Marlins or any other team." He also said that the league did not see a payroll plan from the Marlins until 2 days ago. The emphasis in that quote is added. You'll see why once you see what Barry Jackson of the Miami Herald reported this afternoon after the interview. A source directly involved in the Marlins sales process, after hearing the Le Batard interview, said, via text, Commissioner said was not aware of Jeter plan to slash payroll. Absolutely not true. They request and receive the operating plan from all bidders. Project Wolverine, the name for Jeter's plan, called on his group to reduce payroll to $85 million. This was vetted and approved by MLB prior to approval by MLB. Every Jeter investor and non-investor has the Wolverine financial plan of slashing payroll to $85 million. Widely circulated. This is where Manfred's legal training comes in, of course. Note his use of the phrase, player-specific plans. Manfred, once he realized he was denying knowledge of the Marlins' plans to slash payroll, inserted that phrase to give him technical veracity. It can and should be read as, "We did not know, specifically, that the Marlins planned to trade Giancarlo Stanton, D. Gordon and Marcell Ozuna." Which is meaningless of course because A, he knew that the Marlins planned to slash payroll to $85 million and B, the only way to do that would be for the Marlins to trade away Stanton, Ozuna and likely Gordon. Manfred clearly wanted to give off the impression that the league had no idea of what Sherman and Jeter planned to do, but he clearly knew. Is it a lie? I suppose we can argue the technicalities of that. It was certainly, however, an attempt to mislead. It's also quite possible, if the Miami Herald report is accurate, that his comment about not seeing a Marlins payroll plan until 2 days ago is a lie, but that probably depends on how he'd define payroll plan. This was not the only nugget from this interview. Get this from Manfred later in the interview: the strategy that, apparently, the Marlins have adopted is one that is tried and true in baseball. I'm not saying it's without pain. As a matter of fact, I think the fans in Houston endured some bad seasons. But it was a process that ultimately produced a winner, and that process is really dominant in terms of the thinking in our game right now, in terms, particularly, of smaller markets' ability to win. Translation: the commissioner of baseball is now on record as saying that teams should tank to win. That's a position some outside observers and analysts have taken, and clearly, the tack certain teams have taken in building their teams. But it's not without considerable controversy, and it's remarkable to hear the commissioner of baseball endorse it. For the leader of the game to tell fans, hey, your teams might suck for a while as the owners rein in their costs, but maybe it'll work out, is a very different thing than an analyst saying it. Given that there are absolutely no guarantees that other teams, let alone several of them, can count on an straw-style turnaround, it's an endorsement of bad baseball and owners' interests above fan interests. Which, if you're aware of baseball's business history, is not surprising. It's well known that, throughout baseball history, the league and its commissioners care about owner profits first and foremost, and that they prefer lower payrolls to higher ones. The examples of this are legion, in fact. Indeed, the real shocking news here would have been if Manfred and the league did not know that Sherman and Jeter planned to slash payroll. Which makes one wonder why Manfred so ineptly claimed otherwise at the outset. His predecessors were so much better at hiding it. Follow at Craig Calcaterra.